Yes.
Hello.
Yes.
Yes. I'm just going to join
It's a Rick and Morty joke.
Oh, Ralph's all Rick and Morty now because you watched a couple episodes on the goddamn planes. Okay, so how does this tie in? I want to see how this actually works with the episode. How does that tie in with the episode?
I don't know, Rick. It sounds kind of weird.
I don't know, man. We've been in E3 and we're very tired.
It's actually not bad. We should just take over the Rick and Morty voice.
I think we could do it. If he ever, sadly, is not able to do it anymore, give us a call. I will do it. Okay.
So, ladies and gentlemen,
Segue.
this is one of our final E3 videos. Only a couple left. Wanted to take you through gameplay impressions for Watch Dogs because we played it.
Yes.
And it's pretty good. We're impressed by it. And let's tell you why we think it's pretty good.
Watch this space for Watch Dogs.
Check this out.
All right, so Watch Dogs 3 we had absolutely no interest in whatsoever.
Yeah, I haven't played
at
the previous titles.
Take a shot every time Sam says that I've never played any of the previous titles. Watch all our E3 videos and take a shot every time. So
at least I'm honest. At least I'm not like I've played all the games.
There are lots of YouTubers that try and make out like they play games and they don't.
No spin zone, everybody.
This is a no spin zone here. So Watch Dogs, look, not interested in it. Watch Dogs 1 and 2, they had a certain appeal but didn't love them. Watch Dogs 3, I was like, cool, they're making another one, no real expectations. Yeah. The reveal happened at the Ubisoft press conference, and it really stole the show. Like, it really had a very strong showing.
And I think they knew it was going to because
25
minutes of it out of an hour and 10-minute show, or whatever it was just Watch Dogs gameplay, cinematic trailer, or whatever. And it looks fantastic. I'm not a huge fan of Watch Dogs. I've never played it, okay? But when I looked at that, I'm like, okay, that actually looks very interesting, the way that you can take over many different people. We'll get more into the details, but all in all, it looks like their biggest IP coming out soon.
It is, especially because we played Ghost Recon Wildlands, the new Ghost Recon. Yes. Didn't love that one as much.
Yes.
We'll talk about that one closer to release.
That's right.
It needs a bit more time to bake, I think.
Yeah, I can't think you can play that game for 10 minutes or whatever. We did 25 minutes.
It's a very hard game to demo at E3.
And actually give you an actual
especially when you're playing with Sam co-op, man. It's just...
I was just stealing the show, killing all the enemies. Ralph's like, I can't even get a good understanding of this game. There's no enemies to kill. But anyway, we played a bit of Watch Dogs, okay? We jumped on for about 45 minutes. There was not enough pods, okay? So I was standing there like an idiot, waiting for Ralph to get off. So I played about 20 minutes, Ralph played about 25 minutes.
It started off in a pub, actually, in London. And there's a lot of people in this pub. There was probably at least 15 NPCs just in this pub alone. And at any point in time, you're able to sort of like look at any one of them and target them. You can hold down a button to start scanning their profile, and you see what their deal is, a bit of their backstory, and you'll start seeing some of their stats. So for example, I moused over, selected one guy who had plus 75% melee damage when he was drunk. I was like, that's it.
And we turned
Game of the year.
And we turned to the dev and we're like, how do we make sure we use it? He's like, just, try and fight near a pub.
That's right.
Run in, have a drink, come out again.
Stay near a pub.
And that's it,
That's
really.
because the drunkenness wears off so quickly. If you had to do a mission, the mission needs to be near a pub for that skill to be useful,
But
right?
I like that. Like, it's a cheeky
funny.
little weird little thing to throw in.
But it's because any single NPC you see on the street, you can like Agent Smith them.
Yeah.
But not immediately. The way it works is that they need to have some trust in DedSec to be willing to join you, okay? And if you don't have that trust, you need to do some missions for them.
Yeah.
And so we had to do one mission for this one guy. We needed to infiltrate Scotland Yard, the police headquarters or whatever. We needed to erase some data that he had on some blackmail data. And then at that point, he'd be really thankful for that. And he'd be like, cool, now I'll join up with you. And he becomes a playable character. So
this is 20 in total that you can actually bank up.
You can have about 20 in your roster at any point in time.
Yeah.
So you've got these 20 characters in your roster. Each of them have their own skill perks. Each of them have their own builds that you level up over time as well. And you can select perks for them. And if they die on a mission or whatever, they're dead. They're dead for good, right? So you actually have to make a choice about whether or not you're going to have that person surrender to the cops and they go like they're arrested for a certain amount of time, or if they actually die. And it creates an interesting decision-making framework, because if you're halfway through a mission and you don't want to fail that mission, you might want to risk it and keep playing, so you're kind of gambling with the life of this character, and you might lose them permanently, because if you sort of push them on after they get knocked down once, then they're permanently dead after that.
And I think also, as the dev was saying, you really get attached to certain ones, and you pick favorites. You can never, you love all your children, equally, everybody. But in this game, it's like you can definitely get attached to certain ones, and that I think will fundamentally change how you will end a mission, play a mission, all this kind of stuff. Or if you think this is going to be a really hard mission, I know what I'm probably going to do. Try and do it with some basic bitch shitty character that I don't care about and engage how hard it is and all this kind of stuff.
That's actually, might be a viable strategy, yeah.
Definitely.
It's much like XCOM, where XCOM has permadeath, and you really want to make sure that if you put time into someone, you become attached to them, you want to keep them alive.
Yeah.
And you can't save scum it either. You can't like save a backup file, then do a mission if your character dies.
It's the Game of Thrones of fucking of video games,
right.
everybody.
So, look, all in all, really interesting concept. And one thing that happened was that I was on a mission, and something happened, and then I had to like escape. So all of a sudden, all these cops descended on me, and the objective was escape the area. And I died with my character, and I said to the developer, "Oh, so what happens now? Do I do that mission again?" And he's like, "No, you had to escape. You didn't escape. Your character is now dead.
Yeah.
The story continues with the next character. You don't have to go back to that mission because you don't have to escape the area. Your other character is already out of it, right?"
Yeah,
so
yeah.
that was interesting in and of itself.
I think definitely. Just quickly before we move on, I just think that also kind of takes the whole choices in games, decision making, and feeling the weight of those choices to a level I don't think we've really seen in other games, because it's always like the protagonist always needs to live on, and that always like cheapens the the weight of the choices in any game. But this can really create some interesting ways that you have to deal with loss of characters and stuff.
Yeah, and they also they've made it so that your character appears in every single cutscene.
Yep.
So whoever you're playing with at any point in time, that's them. And there's this really interesting simulation component to it as well, where every character you see has movements. So when you mouse over them, it'll say, Johnny, he's drinking at the pub until 1 a.m. John, he works at the bank, from 9 to 5. And if you go to the bank at 9 to 5, you're going to see him in that bank, and it'll say his wife works at X, Y, and Z. You go over to that X, Y, and Z other building, she's also there. Like, these characters actually have stories, they have lives, they have routines, and you can kind of like hook into those routines if you want to try and recruit them. So, look, all in all, that system is actually really interesting, and I really liked it a lot, in fact.
Definitely, and I think also the world. Now I can finally say that joke. It always starts with the world. Now I think that, so much time and effort it looks like has been put into this. Now, when you take the map back and look at the world, or the actual map itself, it's not overly that big, and the dev kind of said, look, what he said to us at least is like, we wanted to make sure that the area that we used was full of detail. It wasn't about how big it was, and I think that's such a good
16 times the detail.
I think that's such a good way, because this current trend of like the world is bigger, and like they think that sells units or something. I think that this whole idea of no, let's make it smaller and make sure everywhere you look, it's interesting. There's an area you go into, like a shittier area where it looks like Cyberpunk. Did you think that?
It's very Cyberpunk
I was
inspired.
like, can we say this? Because all we're doing is wearing Cyberpunk shit and talking about Cyberpunk. But it really did, and I loved the realness of that world. It did feel like it was lived in, just like Cyberpunk.
This one area was, graffiti-covered streets, neon lighting. It had a very sort of like...
Keanu Reeves was walking around.
Yeah, exactly.
It just felt like
it felt that world design was actually really brilliant, and in terms of graphics as well, because I definitely had my doubts about these before. I definitely noticed some pop up. The draw distances weren't as tight. And I would say that performance-wise, it's still quite shaky. It's not out till next year.
I was quite surprised, actually. I thought it was very smooth driving in terms of like the world felt very smooth. I wasn't seeing a lot of frame drops.
There's a lot of like blur that kicks in when you start moving fast to trying to render down that detail. So,
sure.
Look, frame rate was the biggest issue that I had. And look, as I said, they've still got lots of time until release, but that's something that I'll certainly be tracking to see if they can keep this world moving, especially when there's lots of characters on screen at once.
And also the driving itself, I think, you're going to do a lot of driving in this open world kind of game, of course. And I thought the driving mechanics felt good.
I disagree with that. I actually thought the driving felt garbage.
No, it didn't have to feel super realistic. I was like, I don't mind this. It kind of just feels like it's fine. I really hate it. It felt fun and it felt easy to pick up.
Disagree.
Because I don't think this game the emphasis is not like, let's make sure that the driving feels super like realistic. It was like, here's some fun driving mechanics. that don't have to be super serious. And I didn't mind that.
I really disagree. I thought the driving was really bad, and I really hated it.
Why?
They
Tell
actually,
me.
it just the acceleration on these cars, how slidey they are, how floaty they feel. You actually have electric cars as well, electric bikes, and it's fucking weird to drive them because they don't have any sound. It's so bad. I don't know why they put this in a video game. I'm sorry, but no,
I don't think electric cars. I think they actually in real life, like Tesla and stuff, they make the sound in speakers, so
correct.
people know cars are coming.
I heard that's true. I don't know if that's a myth or not, but like I swear to God.
I mean, if I said it, it must be true, right?
Like I swear to God, I do not like pressing the accelerator and just hearing like. Honestly, it's nothing. It feels terrible, and I think it's just one issue because I was also doing some combustion engines, and they felt equally bad. I just think Watch Dogs has never been famous for its driving. I would say combat actually felt pretty good. I mean, I was using the old lady, and she was kind of like shuffling along, and she could bring out this SMG that had kind of like electric bullets, which was quite satisfying. I could stealth as well, but I kind of very quickly got spotted because I didn't really know what to do and how to do it all. So I had to basically kill an entire, like all of Scotland Yard. Basically every cop in London at the headquarters, I killed them. And look, it was fun. It felt good.
I felt like they were competent mechanics.
Yeah,
I didn't feel like, oh my God, these are Doom mechanics. They were just like, they felt fine. They felt like they were just trying to do their job. But the emphasis is definitely not on the weapon mechanics, I think.
Well, I wouldn't even say that. I just think, this isn't obviously Doom or whatever. It's just a third-person open-world game, but it's fine. You can also, there's always non-lethal options for playthroughs as well for your guns, like Cyberpunk.
Also like Cyberpunk.
So yeah, if you don't, because basically every person you kill is a person you could have recruited. So the idea is to not kill as many people as possible because then you've got a larger recruitment pool to draw from. So that was kind of cool. But there was the hacking as well. The hacking in Watch Dogs for me has never felt particularly ingenious. It's always just like hack a door. There's a locked door. Walk up to door. Press hack button. Door opens. Hack a camera. Now,
you know what else hacks cameras and hack shit? Cyberpunk, everybody.
Anyway,
holy shit.
What you can do with the cameras though is you can hack a camera, focus on a guard and see that guard, and then you can actually hack the person so that their equipment malfunctions, or you can actually steal like a cyber key off them or something. So there's some interesting. Really? Yes, I shouldn't have used the word. Whatever, man. Maybe that's not what they called it. I just called that my own head. Cyberpunk on the brain. Keanu's speaking to me right now.
You're breathtaking.
Yeah. So look, I think that the mission I played wasn't particularly interesting. It was one of the more generic open world missions. Go into a place and do a thing. I think the cinematic mission we saw was pretty cool. It's very English, of course, like it's real sort of...
No, it's not. It's only in London. What are you talking about?
But what I'm saying is like it feels like a very hammed up kind of approach to
hello,
things.
mate, all that kind of stuff. It's very much like that. But they're just going for a certain vibe, a certain feel. And I think it's really pulling off their own identity. I don't know if I've seen a game like this in terms of they just do it well. I've jumped on, I've played a little bit of it, and I'm already like, oh, I get what you're doing, and this is a very unique brand you're putting out, and I like it. And I think a lot of people will like this, and I think this game will be. It'll be for a lot of types of people, I think, in terms of it could be the GTA person that loves GTA 5, wants to try an open world, jump in cars and shit and experience that in a different way. It'll also be for people that just kind of love previous Watch Dogs and just want to have that next installment. I just feel like it's going to appeal to a lot of audiences, and it's going to be a big title for Ubi, And I think they're going to put a lot of money behind this because I think they know that this is going to do well.
I think this will do pretty well. Like I said, from what I saw, I'm interested to play more. It definitely wasn't one of my top games of show.
Definitely
but
not.
It was something that I was like, look, I see what you're doing here. You've got interesting mechanics. I'm down to play more. And I think that, that's cool. Given that I had no interest in Watch Dogs before, it's kind of like mission accomplished. You know what I mean?
Yeah, definitely.
Anyway, that's Watch Dogs.
No more Cyberpunk references, okay? We're out.
Well, actually, we're gonna interview a Cyberpunk dev tomorrow.
That'll be on Skill Up's channel.
That'll probably be on Skill Up though instead. So.
I was gonna do the interview, but I was gonna be like, does Keanu Reeves have sex with people in the game? The interview's over, everybody.